Today we're going to walk through adding a property. So right now you go into My Properties in your profile and you hit the Add Property button. One thing about Copious is we wanted to make it as easy and simple as possible to upload and post a property. So with just 3 selections, we're going to do a property, one of my properties in Mojave County, Arizona. The APN is 207.11.024. And then now what Copious is doing is it's actually pulling records all on its own, and it's finding this property. Now, pending the county and the data that it's available, there will be different amounts of information that we can pull for you. So some will be blank and some may be slightly off, and that's okay because all you have to do is just edit it. But this is where you check. So we try to make this easy. So I'm using this property as an example because it brings back a lot of data, but also brings back some data that's not fully there. So for example, this property is not in downtown Yucca, Arizona, like it thinks it is, but it had that's its best guess because it brought back information for that property that says it is in Yucca, which is true. It's just outside of Yucca. So this is what's cool is we can do a couple of things. Number one is we can use this tool right here and we can actually draw a shape. So say, let's just say it's a little piece over here. You just bump, 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 and close it. And then there, you've highlighted where that property is. That's not exactly where that property is, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you where we get, how we can do the exact property. So right here we have where you can set the corners. And so when you're doing your due diligence, usually you get back your, especially if you use Land VA for You or Parcel Review, or you have your own VA do it. Usually 4 corners is what you'll get back in your due diligence. So you can just copy and paste these points in really quickly. And then save these GPS coordinates, and then look what happens. Now it found it, and this is where this property is located. It is right next to BLM land. It's in a little bit of a wash area, so probably don't want to set anything permanent there, but hey, this is probably a great property for somebody who wants to dirt bikes and ATVs on the weekend or go explore all that BLM land has to offer. So there, we just set these coordinates here, and it drew the shape for us, and now it knows where that property is. Let's go through and see all the other due diligence that it brought back for us. There is no address for this property, which is why it knew it was in Yucca, but it didn't know that it's not on, this property doesn't have an address. So if any of this information is missing, you can just pop it in from your due diligence. It knows, it pulled back that it's in section 11, all that stuff. Again, you can populate for your due diligence. Zoning, it did not pull back zoning. So I know the zoning from my due diligence. So I'm just going to put this in really quickly. There we go. It's an agricultural property, 5 acres. That's correct. And again, this is what it pulled from the county. Now, this latitude and longitude is probably one that you want to check. And this is another reason why it centered the property in downtown Yucca. It was 1, because of the address, and 2, I bet anything that's probably the GPS coordinates of downtown, what it considers to be downtown Yucca. So again, going back to my due diligence, I know what the property is, so I'm just going to correct that really quickly. And that's what's beautiful about this, is you can make edits as you need. So brought back the tax rate and the year, so I don't have to populate that, but if it's in your due diligence, make sure it's correct, check it out. We're just going to move on to the next step. Let's drop in a few pictures and some due diligence. So we can add documents, and this is usually where I drop in due diligence reports. So just, you can hand it out to another land investor that wants to buy property. Some images. I'm just going to grab a couple that I have for this property. It's going to load them in. So I'm going to drop in some due diligence report as well, because I've got it convenient and I don't mind sharing it. You also have, if you have a title report, you can drop that in too. Anything you want to provide to any other fellow land investor to help make the deal, I would highly advise dropping it in, just because you can. So description, you can put something quick in here, like weekend fun place. Sure. So here we set the price. So what is your estimated retail value of this property? And again, we're all subjective. We all have our own guesses. We all do our own different pricing schemes to figure out what our pricing is. I'm going to say this property is worth $12,000. I'm going to put this at a $5,000 cash price. And then it's going to ask you a question. Do you need a down payment to reserve this property? No, you don't have to. You can communicate with another buyer seller through Copious, and you don't have to have a down payment. I actually do have a down payment ready to go, so I'm going to put that. And how much is the down payment? Let's just do $100, and you can lock in this property. Do you have a down payment link for us Geek Pay users? We can have go ahead and drop in our Geek Pay down payment link. And then, are you offering financing on this property? Land arbitration. So for newbies out there, land arbitration is a great tool. We'll go into a little bit more information on what that is. Basically, it's financing a wholesale property so that you don't have to drop $5,000 cash. You can actually make payments over time and sell this at retail long term. So that's what land arbitration is. And so I could say, yes, maybe I would sell this property at $125 a month for 48 months. And then that would be great because they could probably sell this for $250 a month for 60 months. And that'd be a great return for them. On this property, I'm not going to do land arb on this property for right now. We're just going to set this as a cash price. And I know this property does have road access. It does not have power septic. These selections here are also important for stay tuned for another video as to why this is a great tool. So we're just going to go ahead and hit submit. And then boom, the property is loaded. So that's how you add a property into Copious. One quick thing to note is that once we have the property in our My Properties, if we go to that property that we were working on or any other property that we have in our portfolio that we're advertising, and we need to make an edit, just simply go to these three buttons right here and edit. And that will take you back to just like when we added the property in, all of the same things. If we wanted to make adjustments to any of the due diligence or any of the metrics that are there, or if we want to add more files, more pictures, anything like that, we can just simply go to those three dots, hit the edit button, and there you go.